Alright, so Vlogmas day 5. It's been kind of a busy day and oh my gosh, I haven't had really the privacy that I need to just make a video. Which, yeah, frustrating, but what I ended up doing was writing out a bunch of dot points, so I am going to be reading off them a bit, but I'll try not to sound like a robot and all that, you know. It's just how I had to do it because it's almost 9 o'clock and then I need to like get this all sorted and get it uploaded. So let's go for it. So what I've been thinking about today is like, you know, with this whole YouTube revival, I've been going for a little while, but you know, mostly making weekly videos and then like little breaks where I was doing uni. But the main thing I think that's different is like I've been a lot more careful about the things I say and how I say them now compared to like 10 years ago when I would just say whatever, you know, hey, make a video as soon as I have a thought pretty much and then just send it out into the open. Like it's really different the way that I make videos now. And I've sort of been wondering if maybe this is a maturity thing. A maturity thing I say as I'm wearing cat hat. Yeah, and also t-shirt. The important thing is that I believe in myself, which it doesn't really work so well because I have boobs, but I don't know, unfortunate sort of tangent that if it was just flatter you'd be able to read it more easily. Anyway, I was talking about maturity. Fuck, I'm already off script. Okay, so, but anyway, I think like maturity in the sense of like, now I have a better grasp of how my actions affect others. So in the past I would say things and, you know, not really think about how people react to it, and I mean I kind of assumed not that many people were watching, but there was at least one occasion where I upset some family members with some of the stuff I was saying, and then more generally in my life I've just sort of become more aware of how things I do affect people, so you know, that's maybe one of the things that's made me pull back on the way I make videos. But another thing is also just, I've experienced more of the internet and social interactions generally, and I've actually experienced being attacked for my views online, and so I've kind of been wary about inviting some of those criticisms. You know how the internet is. But, I mean, I've always had people coming to my channel and leaving stuff, but, I think today my concerns are different to the sorts of attacks and uncomfortable comments and stuff that I had 10 years ago. Back then I used to get people making comments about my asexuality, especially because like, I don't know, I was weirder then, I think. But yeah, no, people mocking asexuality. I guess that could also be because less people knew what that was back then. I also got flooded from 4chan, which was more about, like, I think my headphone singing videos, which were really quite crazy, and they're playing that game where it's like, try not to laugh, how long do you last, kind of thing, but I didn't know what 4chan was, and it was kind of like, I panicked a bit because so many people were commenting. Yeah, I shut down a lot of the comments on that. That's one of the things that bothered me back then because I didn't know what was happening. If it happened today, I'd just be like, shit, eh. Yeah, I had those fetish people who kept bugging me to step on things, and like, I gotta say, stepping on things is kind of fun, but it's not so fun when you find out that people have been making those requests dishonestly, and then they send you messages about what they're doing in reaction to your videos, and you're sort of like, yeah, fuck off, I'm not gonna do that anymore, and you guys have ruined it. A little bit like, the child porn guys have fucked up Tumblr for everyone. Anyway, so, that's the sort of stuff that used to bother me, 10 years ago when I was YouTubing, whereas today, I think I'm most wary of the extreme left, because I've seen some of the stuff that goes on online, and I've actually experienced attacks from some of those people myself. Like, I thought I was on their side. I'll probably make a video on what actually happened, but, yeah, to do with the gender and trans stuff, wow, like, you know, I thought I was helping, and, no, apparently we would rather just screech at people than have, a meaningful conversation and, like, educate people on whatever the hell you want. I don't know. We'll get into that another time. If I talk about it now, we'll go forever. So, most wary of the extreme left, but as a centrist, I'm also wary of the right, because their views go too far the other way, and so while some of their claims, like, some of them do have some reasonable points, but I've also encountered a lot who are pretty much just like the left in terms of not really entertaining the possibility of a middle ground. It's sort of like, no, the left are completely crazy and none of their ideas are good. That's the right, whereas the extreme left is like, no, the right are completely crazy and none of their ideas are good. I think, like, both sides have complete nut jobs, but both sides occasionally come up with good points. Like, can we not see when someone else has a good idea that might be worth considering? I don't know. So, yeah, when it comes to me expressing my opinions, I'm sort of worried about both sides, so I guess I'm kind of screwed because I'm always going to upset someone because I'm always probably not going to completely agree with someone, and these days a lot of people get really upset if you don't agree with every single thing. Of course, I'm talking about the extremists and not most of the moderates, which I hope most of the people in my audience are, like, at least a little bit open to something different, but I guess if some of you are extremists, that's your thing. Anyway, so my self-censorship has actually been the worst on Facebook, where I happen to have more of the left-leaning friends, to be honest. But yeah, no, I don't really want to be stirring drama among friends, so there's a lot of stuff I haven't said, but in the last few months I've sort of let loose a few more things, and no, people, it turns out I do have a lot of reasonable people, but you're almost guaranteed to have that one person who pops up and has a problem with something you've said, and you're kind of like, well, here's my position, but they're like, no, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, whether or not you consider them friends is a bit, you know, I've got more than 500 friends on Facebook. I'm not really a friends sort of person, so I don't know how close I am to these people, but I still don't really want to cause too much drama amongst them. You know, there's like music scene people and whatever, and some people who are interesting who I disagree with, and yeah. But, yeah, no, I think on YouTube, maybe in the comments, I've been more honest on stuff, compared to Facebook, but with the videos themselves, I've tended to be more careful. And I've sort of been thinking about why. Shit, we're already up to 7 minutes. This is not going to be a short video. Whoops. Anyway, so why is, like, I guess I have a possibly irrational fear of criticism. Like, definitely a fear of criticism, but whether or not it's rational, I'm not sure. You know, because it can be stressful. Where am I up to? Yeah, dealing with the dramas of protest and, you know, feeling like I have to spend too much time and energy defending myself, you know, replying to comments that's not actually what I said. I mean, the thing that happened in the asexual group, no one, like, you know, you defend yourself and no one listens anyway. It's like, you know, I'm an atheist. I used to talk to people who were religious, and, like, if it's just a conversation that goes nowhere, so don't even bother. Yeah, so it does take up a lot of time and energy, and I sort of feel like, well, if I say the wrong thing and I attract these people who just leave this stuff, and then I waste all this time trying to reply and they don't even care, that's sort of something I've been worried about, like, you know, having to defend myself that way. But yesterday was kind of different. I took what I considered to be a risk because I was talking about the drama going on Tumblr, despite myself not knowing very much. Like, I really don't know a whole lot about Tumblr and Tumblr culture. I didn't do much research, and I was kind of just winging it without a script and without editing myself, except for when my dog barked, and I just pressed the pause button on my, phone. But yeah, so I was just winging it. I had a few dot points, but nowhere near as many as I have today. So yeah, that for me, that was a risk, because I was like, I don't actually know this topic. I'm definitely going to upset some people. So I initially thought that I wasn't going to answer any comments. I was like, well, I'm probably going to get shit for this. Maybe I should just ignore the comment section for a change. Because, you know, I was expecting them to be negative, and I was also expecting people to be like, you know, you're really misinformed, here's all the actual things, and I'd be like, oh, okay, and not really have a response anyway. Like, you know, people would just put me in my place, and I'd have to be like, oh, okay, yeah, those are good points. That was kind of what I was expecting. But actually, I ended up answering nearly every comment. There were a couple comments where people are just like, hey, I like this. I think I may be getting confused, because I kind of just look at all the comments for all the videos in the same page. But yeah, no, I ended up answering nearly every comment, including the ones telling me I was wrong, and I had some interesting conversations, and to be honest, it was some of the best fun I've had on YouTube in a while. I think because, like, most of the time, most of you don't comment, but on this one, I got people who I think are outsiders from this channel, like not subscribers. I got some of those people, I think, commenting, and then I also got people I do recognize who I know are subscribers or who have watched me in the past, and I was like, I haven't seen you in ages! Thanks for coming back and commenting. I was really excited, so I had fun. And it's made me be like, I'm probably overthinking all this stuff, like about controlling what I say on YouTube and, like, you know, taking like, I have done a lot of that heavy editing kind of stuff with my videos and, like, planning out my videos and trying to stick to dot points, which I know it's ironic that I'm talking now about how maybe I didn't need to do all that while I'm looking at dot points, but I am short on time and I need to get this done. So sometimes dot points are good just for helping me remember what I wanted to talk about, but a lot of the time I've been making dot points to sort of make sure I say, like, the right things instead of going off on a tangent that becomes a little bit and occasionally I do have to edit out bits where I've gone ad-lib, like I am now. I've gone ad-lib and said something and then I've been like, oh, maybe that's not how I want to put that, or maybe that'll upset someone and maybe I should just cut it out. You know, because I've been doing the editing, I've kind of been doing a bit of that. What was I saying? Yeah, no, like, maybe I'm overthinking this, and it doesn't really matter that much if I just make a video based on what I know now. Where am I up to? So, like, being wrong, misinformed, or just having people disagree with me, it wasn't as scary or as stressful as some of the shitfight conversations I've had over on Facebook. I don't know why Facebook is worse, like, it could be that, like, the people who didn't like me, my comments in the asexual group and other things I've seen and been involved in online, it could just be that that type of person hasn't found me yet. But I don't know, it could also help that I was upfront about saying, hey, I don't really know much about this is my misinformed opinion, or, you know, whatever, so you guys can help me learn. Maybe because I was like that helped, because, you know, if someone comes along and is like, here's my opinion in an authoritative way, I think that annoys people more, whereas I was like, I don't really know, but this is what I think now. Maybe that's helped. And also, like, with that sort of thing, it's probably easier to convey your own doubt in video compared to just text, because, like, when you're writing in text, you are thinking about it in the tone of voice in your head, but whoever's reading it, they're reading it with a different tone of voice, like whatever's in their head. So maybe they think, like, especially if it's the type of person who's always looking to be offended, like with those gender and trans people that I got on the wrong side of, a lot of them are quite sensitive about some of those issues, so they're kind of looking for trouble, especially, like, in that group. It was kind of a toxic group, but anyway, if that's their attitude, then that's definitely going to colour how they read other people's opinions, and so they probably didn't know how I was saying these things when I was just typing away, and maybe being on video and being like, well, I don't really know, but this is what I think right now, and they can see that I'm a real person instead of just text. I wonder if that helps. I mean, I was talking about Tumblr stuff, and maybe the people, like the kinds of people who were searching for my video are not that kind of, you know, perpetually offended sort of mob, or, you know, people with these sensitivities and whatever. Maybe it's a different audience, but I do wonder if I presented things in that sort of way like I did last video, if that would help. I don't know. I'm sort of thinking about it going, hang on, it actually is a different crowd, so maybe that's not a good point. But anyway, whatever. Just some thoughts. And yeah, so like, whatever the case, it's just got me thinking about how I YouTube, and maybe I can just say what I think, and maybe I just need to accept that my opinions are always evolving, and if I say something dumb, having people tell me that I said something dumb is kind of like a learning opportunity, and I don't have to take it as an attack. I mean, people told me things yesterday about Tumblr, and I was like, oh, okay, I can sort of get some of that, and I did go back and write an updated sort of response on my Tumblr about some of my concerns with the changes they're making, especially when it comes to artists. Yeah, I reblogged the staff post and added my own comments to that. So yeah, like, I feel like I'm learning every time someone says stuff, and, you know, I also learned about, well, I had heard of Gab, but, you know, I looked up that again, and BitChute, I think, and yeah, thanks for mentioning all that stuff in the comments, guys. Like, it's interesting, and I get interested in random stuff, so there you go. But yeah, so maybe I just need to be more, I can be more open about my stuff and take it as a learning experience. And then there's the other side of things where, like, even if I have researched it and I say things that are true and logical and based on facts, like, there's always going to be people who disagree. So even if I'm careful, I can't really shield myself from criticism. So, like, do I really need to bother? Like, there's always going to be someone upset by something. It's like that centrist thing, right? So if I can give you an example, like an example of a fact, Australia isn't real, but people will still disagree, even though it's so obvious. I mean, so Britain needed to cover up its slaughter of convicts. There was 162,000 people from 1788 to 1868 that they were trying to get rid of. So of course they invented Australia. You know, you ship off all these people on boats and they're sent to new colonies, but actually they're dead, like they've been killed or whatever. So I mean, everyone knows that we're all paid actors in Australia. We're just sending fake images to the world. And everyone knows that when people visit Australia, they're taken to, like, these large-scale sets full of actors. None of it's real. My bedroom is just a set. Like, this isn't actually Australia. If some of you were fooled, I'm sorry about that. Everyone also knows that kangaroos, koalas, wombats, and drop bears, they're all either, like, animatronics or puppets or, like, domestic cats and dogs in costumes. I mean, there's no way that a platypus is a real creature. I mean, are you kidding? Those are just made up to make Australia seem exotic, and, like, we also tell people that we have heaps of dangerous creatures, and honestly that's just to try and stop you from coming here, because when people want to come to Australia, it's difficult, you know, the logistics and stuff. So, you know, and there's the fact that if people do come here, they might work out that it's a sham, and actually people have been working this out. So, you know, that's how we know, like, the rest of the world already knows this. I'm not going to lose my job as an actor for saying this, because people already know. So, yeah, and then everyone also knows that you can only come to live in Australia if you go through the immigration process, which is just code for acting lessons and applying for an acting job. You have to pass all that, and they've also got to screen you to make sure that you're not going to spill the beans. So, yeah, there's that. And these days, because enough people have worked it out, like, everyone who knows anything knows that these are facts, right? Like, facts. You can present people with facts and you're still gonna get people who are like, no, that's not real, I don't believe you, and whatever. So, you know, we've got those deniers who still think Australia is real, and you just have to kind of shrug it off. So I guess I do that with my YouTube as well. I mean, like, I'm not wrong, but I have to, like, these people are gonna act like I'm wrong anyway, so you kind of just, whatever. There's not really any reason to be scared of being wrong, because you can always change, but yeah, you don't have to be scared of being wrong, because, like, because you're still gonna get the same reaction when you're right. Does that make sense? Why worry? Because if you say something factual, there's always going to be someone who's like, no, you're wrong. I'm like, if you don't like facts, what can you do? So I guess in some way you've got to admire people who don't give a fuck about being wrong, such as Trump. You know, Trump's the current president of America, and he says so much stuff that's wrong, and I get pretty mad at him for this, but, like, since taking office, he's talked to both our prime ministers, and he actually thinks they're real leaders of a real country. I mean, the CIA must have told him that they're just actors, but he doesn't care, and he's just happy to be wrong anyway. Nothing happens to him for being like that, and he doesn't even blink at the fact that the actor playing the Prime Minister has changed since he's been in office. Like, the number of Prime Ministers, the number of actors we've had playing the role of Prime Minister in Australia over the last, like, I don't know, they need to start hiring someone who actually knows what they're doing. So, well, I mean, the reason that, this has happened is, like, the most recent one, I mean, the director was obviously worried that Malcolm Turnbull's shitty performance was going to tip off the other world leaders, so, like, he had to go and they had to hire ScoMo for the role instead. But he's also a shitty actor, so they'll probably edit the script and just go with Bill Shorten next, but I don't know, because I haven't received my copy of the script yet. Anyway, point being, Trump just doesn't give a fuck about being wrong, and even though everyone tells him Australia doesn't exist, we know this now, like, I mean, it's a fact, right? But he's not fazed at all. He doesn't care that he's wrong, and I guess that's kind of inspiring in a way. So yeah, I feel like maybe I should just stop worrying about being criticized online. I can always ignore the comments, and I don't have to defend myself if I can't be bothered. Which was my plan yesterday for Tumblr, but it actually ended up being fun responding to people, and the comments weren't as bad as I thought they were going to be. And another thing is, a lot of comments come from strangers I don't care about anyway, which is probably how I should have handled that thing with the asexual group. There were so many people that I just don't give a fuck about, and why did I spend so much time defending myself? I don't even know. But yeah, even if it is a stranger I don't know, sometimes they do come up with interesting ideas that are worth thinking about, and disagreements can actually be polite like they were yesterday, and it doesn't always get crazy. It kind of depends on your audience, I think. So yeah, people can get mad, but I don't have to take things personally. Like, it's up to me to decide how I react to things. So maybe I can just make whatever videos and not give a shit, you know? I should also just accept that I'm always learning and growing, and like, the past me is such an idiot. Like, I don't know, do you have this thing where you think about things you've done in the past and you're like, I'm such an idiot? Like earlier in this video, the Australia thing, wow, I'm really dumb. But, and probably like a shit actor anyway, but hey, that's why I don't get paid much to be an actor pretending that Australia is real, hey? Yeah, and oh my god, how many of you have been watching me since, like, I first started on YouTube, like, 10 years ago? Do you remember what, like, a weirdo I was? I'm still kind of a weirdo, but I feel like I've gotten smarter in the past 10 years. I've made so many mistakes in my life, and so hopefully I've learned something. Anyway, so I'm always learning and growing. Past me is an idiot. But I don't have to carry my mistakes with me forever. I'm allowed to change my mind. I'm allowed to learn from my mistakes and to move on. So yeah, I mean, it'll be hard, but I hope I can just learn to go for it more and get my unpolished thoughts out there. And that's all I have time for. We have doubled my time limit yet again. And I will see you tomorrow. I hopefully will have more time to actually just, you know, do this, just go for it. And my dog wants to get in my room, so I will say goodbye, good night, and hopefully I get this uploaded before midnight.